to your normal discussion where we talk about the hard topics uncensored. This is no normal discussion. This is normal discussion.
Hey, discussers, it's Tryst,
It's Glenn.
and this is a special episode of Not Your Normal Discussion because it's a very special day. Valentine's Day
Yes, it is.
is full of love, right? So,
Hey,
how you feeling? You feeling loved over there?
I'm feeling the love over here.
That's good.
Ain't really celebrating it, but I feel it.
Nah, same here. I'm kind of celebrating a little bit, nothing too big, but I hope you guys got some love in your life today, whether it's self-love, God's love for your family, a loved one, someone you love to get under, whatever it is. I hope you got something good going on. But I also hope it didn't do too much to beat up your bank account.
Right, right. So Valentine's Day. The history behind Valentine's Day is it's not really an American holiday. It's not really a Christian holiday. It actually has some very dark at moments, depending on how you look at some of these things. A very dark history.
Mm.
Something to sweep you off your partner's feet, of course, right now. And at least once a year, we look forward to that.
Well, despite all of its popularity, there really isn't a straightforward line of what the history of Valentine's Day is actually like. But we do know it contains, vestiges of the early Christian church and ancient Rome. So there used to be a certain Roman festival that was held every year called the Feast of Lupercal. And it was a day to honor Lupercus, the god of fertility, who was also known as Faunus to the Greeks originally. We're going to get into that more later. But initially, the kind of fertility that Lupercus presided over only applied to livestock, so like sheep, cattle, that kind of thing. And it took place every year between February 13th and February 15th in a cave where the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus, were supposedly suckled and raised by a she-wolf called Lupa. And so the cave contained an altar and a grove that was sacred to the god Lupercus. And people would gather and they would, we today would say sadly, sacrifice goats and young dogs because they're animals that are known for their fertility and having big families. In exchange, their livestock would be blessed to be happy and bountiful, and they were supposed to be purified of evil spirits. But there was another. So after they made the sacrifices of the goats and the young dogs, two young men would be led to the vat of the animal blood that was compiled. They would put a sword in, take some blood to the tip, touch it to their foreheads, and they would start laughing for whatever reason that was part of the ritual.
See, and from my research, then the other common festival tradition were outside of the one you just talked about, bringing food and alcohol. They will also have naked men dipping themselves into the skin of the sacrificed animals to mirror the god. Using strips of the animal's skin to whack people, pretty much like give them almost like a spanking, like a whole orgy they were pretty much having. And the tradition for women hopping to all this was tradition, and the women hoping that they were going to have children. This is the whole purpose of the fertility god.
Yeah. So
Um,
digging even a little bit deeper, this festival of Lupercal is actually connected to the ancient Greek festival of Arcadian Lycaea with the
correct.
worship of Pan. And if you know what like a satyr is, which Pan was, is like half human, top half human, bottom half goat. So you can already see how Lupercus, a goat god, how the two are connected, especially over time. And with the association of mid-February and romance, that more so goes back to this celebration to Juno. And this was the goddess of the fever of love, marriage, and women. So February was the month of Juno, and she was also known as February, which actually means to purify. Her feast day, or the festival of Juno, of Juno Februata would fall on February 15th. And on that day, listen here, eligible young women would write their names on a slip of paper called billets. They'll put it in a box, and then single men would come and draw a single billet. And the lady whose name is written on the paper that he pulled out, that would be his partner for the day for basically a day full of sexcapades, like special games, like a game show, but on like Pornhub.
Oh Lord, they must have had some fun back then.
Oh,
I,
it was wild.
it definitely was wild. And it's crazy because you know how we celebrate now, and people just don't realize they seem to call it Christian, and they
Mhm.
don't realize how much false gods are even in the symbols. Like the rose represents um represents a particular goddess,
Mhm.
the fertility goddess, and then the Cupid is actually not a little boy. He's actually a grown man drink with the same idea to hit somebody with the L and make them fall in love. Um,
Yeah, the funny thing about the Cupid is like when we think about angels, we often think about like little baby angels and then big grown adult angels. But the little baby angel actually comes from the Cupid represented as a baby because it was the mother, it was the child of Mercury and that goddess of fertility and love you're talking about, of love and beauty. After
but the
that,
rose,
became Venus.
right,
And
Venus.
yeah, like it's funny, like when we talk about how these things kind of mesh, because the two festivals we talked about, Lupercal and Juno Feberata, they actually came together. So you still had the whole sacrifice of the animals, and then you had the men whipping people, and women, more so women signing up to be whipped so that they would be fertile, and like women who are regularly infertile would become fertile, and those who are pregnant would have easier pregnancies, and then they would have the sexcapades. So like all that came together as one thing, especially after the Romans conquered the Greeks and then co-opted all their gods and just changed their names and worshiped them how they wanted to. But connecting from that, what became Lupercalia, how do we now have something called St. Valentine's Day? Well, that particular incident goes back to Rome becoming the Catholic Church, basically the Holy Roman Empire. And let's just say they weren't exactly excited by all the sex and debauchery and all the whipping and
Oh,
basically trading girl, like your first date is your invite to the sex Olympics and all that. They weren't exactly happy about all that. So particular popes did what they could to actually, in the same way the Romans appropriated the gods from them and changed names and changed certain meanings, they did a little bit of appropriation of their own and changed things around too. So the name Valentine's Day is actually attributed to a few different Christian martyrs who were then later named patron saints. And it kind of would allow all these different areas that had their own Saint Valentine feel included in the celebration. So the earliest one we found was killed in Africa along with 24 soldiers. And we don't know virtually anything about him or how he died. But if you had to guess, it's probably because Dan really want to be converted.
true, true. Oh, he's still here. That was
Nah,
the gods of Valentine's Day. Like they was telling me, yeah, yeah, we right like that. But
like they snatched your holiday. Yes, speak on it.
and I'll start to just say some of my personal stuff now. Man got the history a little bit better than me. But I can't I've never been someone who absolutely loved Valentine's Day. And this is actually just me now too, changing into who I am. Even before really understanding the history, I kind of knew all this stuff that we kind of worship these days as a pagan holiday. And I mean, as y'all watch us, you learn from me. This is exactly why I'm not a Christian anymore. Because half of the stuff that they follow, some of them don't even really know the history and the stuff behind it. And you can't take away that history, as we spoke before. You can give it a new name, you can republicize it, You can re-come out with it, but the history of something at the end of the day will always be the history of
Yeah.
it,
It will, it's also interesting though, like just the way, like different empire to empire, the different co-opting, and how like meanings change. For me, I wouldn't say that like I'm not a hater of Valentine's Day, but like I don't really consider myself romantic. Like I would
Mhm.
do what I would consider romantic. I'd write nice little freaky songs, little remixes to
Oh,
so like like girls' favorite songs, or like I hear a new song, I'm like, ooh, that should sound good. I want to write something to it. And that's erotic. That's like sensual. But like
right.
I would do that, or like let's say like I would go out, get your favorite candies, chocolates, foods, and all that. Come bring them back. I might bring some flowers and stuff like that. But in general, like romantic. I don't think I'm one of those like grand romantics. I have my way of being like loving. But it's funny what you said about like the co-opting and like Christians not realizing, because there's one priest that like is the main one everyone knows in their mind vaguely as the one that's like the main Valentine, the one who like at the time of Claudius II, he was a Roman Empire who had a huge empire and wanted to keep expanding it. So he was basically taking single men and forcing them to be in his army. And he was so pressed about it that he actually banned marriages so that men wouldn't basically try to dodge a draft to get married. And
Hmm.
so there's one priest called Saint Valentine who was basically going in secret and like marrying Christian couples secretly. And of course, eventually he got found out. And the funny thing about it too, he wore a ring with a cupid on it, as like a way to let people know. So he basically would marry people secretly, and he eventually got caught. He got in prison, and people would come with letters to him, like secretly, to the jail to let them know like they appreciate what he's done for them, and they had like notes on it talking about how love is better than war. And according to the stories and legends, we don't know for sure, but before he was beheaded on February 14th, back in 269 AD, he passed a letter to the young jailer's wife, his jailer's not wife, his young jailer's daughter, um, and the note said, "From your Valentine."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm, 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 mm. That's
So
crazy.
yeah, some little last minute romance of his own.
Right. Hey, I mean, really, when you look at it sometimes, I mean, I love one of my favorite sayings. We're all animals at the end of the day. We
Mhm.
may be smarter, we might think smarter, we might have control, but at the end of the day, we are all animals. And
Yeah.
it's funny you changed the name, but even on this day, let's be real. Half of the dudes and probably the woman too, because women think about it just as much as us. You're thinking about a nice night with
Mhm.
your significant other and possibly ending it up in the bed.
Hopefully,
Just naturally,
hopefully
that's
that's
what
the
you
dread that
like.
you're looking
I
for.
mean, that's what you're thinking.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
most like, I mean, it's like that's the crazy thing. Everybody might not want to admit that, but
mhm.
on Valentine's Day, people trying to get laid.
Yeah. And to help you better get laid this Valentine's Day, if you haven't planned anything, this is pay attention. I want you to try and rekindle that spark that was at the start of your relationship. You know, when he was
Yeah,
texting, well, when he was on the phone talking late at night, when he was like happy to video chat and FaceTime them, like go to the beginning of your text messages, read some of the things y'all texted to each other, write that in a letter. See some of the, and maybe even make it rhyme, make a little song, a poem. See some of the things that they talked about in the beginning, liking. And if you haven't done anything yet, get them, get something real quick. Have it one day. I don't fuck with Amazon, but have that shit quickly delivered so that it's here and you can show it, bless them with it. And not only will you get laid more than likely, you will actually rekindle the spark because you are actually putting in effort and attention. And that's
right.
all women, but anybody really wants. Like guys might want to act like we're tough and hard, but if our girls suddenly stop caring about the shit we cared about, we'd be like, eh? So put a little effort in.
Yeah, make them remember why they loved you in the first place. And
Exactly.
I'll end it with this little poem I made, call it for Valentine's Day.
Hey.
Um, let's make love.
Mm.
Let your guard down, lay in my arms as our breath becomes one. As I take my time, this ain't a one and done. Flow must be right as we take flight. Gently kiss your neck as my hands move down your back.
Oh.
Entangled bodies be like a puzzle of art.
Mm.
Sweat from anticipation, working my way down. Circling your clit just to tease, have you on your knees weak, letting your body give in to the satisfaction. My tongue playing your violin sweet music. The beat of your heart speeds up as you climax. Your hands dig into my back as you pull me up, release as I lay my head on my chest, on your chest.
Mm.
Everything else just seems to stand like time just standing still. The moment of love is real, feeling like we can fly cloud nine. Sensual kisses I gently enter into bliss, holding your neck down with just enough pressure as you
Mm.
bite your lip,
Mm.
thrusting to the sound of love making, our bodies shaking, and
Right.
that's when we become one.
Damn.
Happy Valentine's Day.
There we go. You make me want to do one little thing. I'm gonna do a song. It's my most little romantic song. And
All right.
don't laugh though. Like my,
No
I
laughter here.
don't laugh too much. I don't know what you want from me. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like no one at all understands me. But you are my true love. If there's such a thing, you see, I'm gonna need you to tell me just one thing. See, what I'm really gonna need for you to do is try that if I should go, you won't cry. I'm sad, baby, just little baby, and don't you cry. I'm saying, hush, little baby, don't you cry, don't you cry, don't you cry, don't you cry, don't cry.
Mm, yeah. I like that. I like that.
Yes, and I love that poem. You had bars, man, sensuality.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. They
Like,
don't know.
take a little note. Show down below in the comments what you're doing for Valentine's Day, some of your favorite things you've done for Valentine's Day, and what you want to do for next Valentine's Day. And subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and come be discussions with us. All right. Bye.
Peace.
This is not your normal discussion where we talk about the hard topics uncensored. It's no discussion.